Good evening. My name is Chris Nolan. I'm an astrologer. Today is Thursday, March 20th, and our theme today is the eclipses and the planets in retrograde. We have both Mercury and Venus traveling backwards in retrograde in the sign of Aries. Aries is where our next eclipse is going to be. On March 29th, we have a solar eclipse at 9 degrees. And today, our sun entered Aries. So we have the sun at 0 degrees. We have Venus at 4 degrees. We have Mercury at 7 degrees of Aries. We also have Chiron, our asteroid of wounds, in Aries at 21 degrees. Whenever we have 3 or more astral bodies in the same zodiac sign, it's called a stellium. And this stellium is also being activated because 2 of our inner planets, the planets that are close to Earth, are in retrograde, and we're about to have a solar eclipse. It's also the equinox today, a day of balancing our energy, equal light, equal dark. And just like us, we are equal. We have divine feminine on our left side, our yin side, and divine masculine on our yang side, our right side. We have equal night and equal day, equal light, equal dark. And that's one of the things we also look for in our natal chart, is to make sure that we have a balanced chart, that all the elements in our chart are balanced. So we are going to read charts and see how these retrogrades and these eclipses are going to impact individual, real people, not famous people in the news, but by real people. And we're going to be reading as many charts as we possibly can tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my volunteers. I have Dora, Love 1111, Sarah CR, Frisia, Naomi MG, Jessie, Suman, Kate B, Cassie, Mimi, Catherine, Mary L, and Sarah. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all the volunteers. And we are going to get started. I'm going to hit share screen. And then our first volunteer, who is Jessie, can you confirm that you can see my chart, please?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, as always, I'm going to go here to the bottom right where it says settings. And I'm going to click on settings, and I'm going to include our asteroids. I like to have as much information as possible in a chart when I'm reading. And so I'm going to include all the asteroids. So this natal chart is exactly what the sky looked like when Jessie was born. And the very first thing we do when we have a natal chart reading, Jessie, have you had your chart read in the past?
Um, just by me, but no, not by another person.
So you are a Sagittarius rising, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. I have resources here on the left, and you'll see in the upper left-hand corner is a list of all of the zodiac signs and the planets that rule. And you'll notice that Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is our great benefic. And this is actually like a double blessing for you, Jessie, because in Hellenistic astrology, we use a methodology called sect. And for daytime charts, the benefic called Jupiter is like tremendously, tremendously powerful. So not only do you have a day chart where the great benefic in our sky, Jupiter, is exalted and giving us gifts and blessings and abundance, but that's your chart ruler. So that is the first house, and that is the personality that we show the world. And what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius, the natural ruler of the ninth house. Sagittarius is a fire sign, but it's also a mutable sign. Fire signs tend to have leadership abilities and confidence, and they also have a fixation on learning and on education. Does that resonate with you, Jessie? Do you like learning and teaching people and sharing information?
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. So your rising sign is Sagittarius. So we immediately look for your chart ruler. Because Sagittarius is your ascending, we look for Jupiter, your chart ruler. And you'll see that here on the asset side of my screen on the left-hand side, this is a list of all of the planets and their glyphs. You'll see here that Jupiter is currently transiting at 14 degrees of Gemini. And also the glyph for Jupiter looks like a number 4. Do you see that, Jesse? And so we're going to look on Jesse's chart and find his chart ruler and see what house that chart ruler is in. And it looks like Jesse's chart ruler is sitting here in Scorpio in the 12th house. Let's confirm what the degree of your chart ruler is. It looks like Jupiter is indeed in Scorpio at 23 degrees, and it looks like it's the 12th house. So your 12th house is where your chart ruler is. It's got both Jupiter and Pluto in Scorpio. Terrific. So our theme today is about the eclipses, and we're actually between 2 eclipses. We just had an eclipse in Virgo, and Virgo is the ruler of your 9th house. It looks like you have a little bit of Leo in your 9th house and Virgo in your 9th house. So when that eclipse hit, it activated your 9th house. And you'll notice here that in Virgo, where the eclipse just hit, there is a glyph that looks like a key with a K. Do you see that, Jesse? That is the asteroid called Chiron. And we're confirming here, where we have a list of all of the planets when Jesse was born, that his Chiron is indeed in Virgo at 23 degrees. And we just had an eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees that activated your Chiron wounds. So for the next 18 months, this is going to be an opportunity for you to dig deep and heal the wounds that you came into this lifetime with. I do Vedic astrology, which does not focus on the Chiron, but in Western astrology, we do focus on the Chiron. And what Chiron does is it gives us an opportunity to face wounds that we can heal in ourselves and then heal in others, to be a mentor to others. But having our Chiron wound exasperated, expanded during an eclipse can be a little traumatic. I just want to say, were there any past memories that came up during the eclipse cycle, some old wounds that you felt like you had to really pay attention to and heal, Jesse?
Yeah, a few, yeah.
And this is in your 9th house. What is the 9th house? The 9th house is about education. It's about learning. It's about foreign lands. It's about international travel. And it's also about spirituality and astrology. Of course, it's the house of astrology. And so those themes are going to be coming up again and again and again, because that is your house of Virgo. We just had our first eclipse in Virgo, but we'll be having eclipses in Virgo for the next 18 months. So your 9th house of foreign travel and education and spirituality, including astrology, will be activated for the next 18 months. Let's just take a look at what else is being activated by these eclipses. If you see, there's a glyph. It says MC. MC represents your midheaven. That is your career. Do you have a career like showing people around, or as a tour guide, or as an educator, or in the spiritual realm?
More in the spiritual realm.
Yeah. So that is going to be activated. You may have growth in the career sector. You may be learning different aspects. You may be getting promoted. You may be expanding your business because the eclipse is going to be activating your 9th house. And that is where your MC midheaven is. You can have your MC midheaven in many of the different houses. Some people have them in the 7th house. Some people have it in the 11th house. You have your MC midheaven right here in the 9th house. So the other house that's being activated by the eclipses is Pisces. And Pisces is down here at the IC. That is your inner world. And do you see right here in the house of Pisces, you have the moon, And the glyph does look like the moon, doesn't it, Jesse? And your moon is indeed in Pisces at 5 degrees. And it's next to this other planet that looks like a glyph that looks like the number 5. And we can see here on our assets on the left that Saturn is the planet with a glyph that looks like a number 5. Saturn is currently at 23 degrees of Pisces, and your Saturn, your natal Saturn, is in Pisces. Jesse, you're in your Saturn return. That can be a very challenging time where we have tremendous growth. And, you know, Saturn is the planet of hard work and of discipline and of non-attachment. And so Saturn is going to squeeze you and push you and really force you to be the best version of you in the highest timeline and encourage you strongly to really elevate your vibrational frequency again and again and again. And of course, your Saturn return is being activated tremendously because the eclipses are going to be in Pisces for the next 18 months. To have our Saturn return at the same time we're having eclipses in the same house will be a tremendous time of change and growth, both on a personal level. It's a very healing time, but it also can be very challenging. So I'm going to ask you to significantly increase your self-love and your self-care and do some fun things. The other thing is that Pisces is activating your 3rd house of siblings, communication, transportation, and technology. Do you have siblings, Jesse?
Yes.
This may be a time where you grow closer and you work out any challenges that you've had in the past. And that's going to be strongly encouraged by the universe. The other thing that's important, and it's very important, is that we have so many planets here in Aries. Now, if you see, friends, 4th house is where Jesse has his Aries, and there are no natal planets there. But you can see that we have Sun in Aries. We have Mercury in Aries. We have Venus in Aries. And we have Chiron in Aries. That's 4 astral bodies transiting your 4th house. 4th house is our house of home, of childhood, of mother, of nurturing. So you could be having changes to your home, either buying a new home, redecorating a home, moving, revisiting your childhood home, having some family dynamics. And that's going to be really a focus because Venus is in retrograde right now in Aries, moving backwards. Also, Mercury is in retrograde, moving backwards through Aries. The Sun just entered Aries today, and we have a solar eclipse in Aries. So this 4th house of home is being amplified significantly. I also have to note that Saturn, and you're in your Saturn return, Saturn is going to step into Aries in your 4th house of home on May 25th. So this Pisces and Aries houses are going to be really the focal point. Saturn will be in your house, 4th house of home, for the next 2.5 years. So this is going to be a very exciting time. Thank you so much for volunteering, Jesse. I hope that resonated with you.
Yes, it definitely did. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you being here. Naomi. Naomi, are you with me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for emailing me your information. I'm going to pull it up right now and I'm going to hit share screen. And if you could just confirm for me that you can see the chart that I pulled
Yeah,
up.
I can.
In the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to click settings and I'm going to include all the asteroids. Lilith is a divine feminine female warrior that resides in every male and female. Juno is the asteroid of attachments. Vesta is our asteroid of patience. Pallas is our asteroid of strategy. Ceres is our asteroid of nurturing and food, cereal. And Chiron is our asteroid of wounds we must feel to heal. And so this is what your chart looks like, Naomi. And we can see that you have an ascendant in Aries. So having your ascendant in Aries is very powerful because that's where our next eclipse is going to be on March 29th. It also is where Chiron is right now. Your ascendant is at 27 degrees of Aries, and our transiting Chiron is at 21 degrees Aries, heading straight to your ascendant. We also have Mercury in retrograde in Aries, and we have Mercury and Venus in retrograde in Aries, and the Sun just entered Aries. So your first house and your 12th house are being activated tremendously. What is the 12th house? The 12th house represents our subconscious. It represents the beliefs we have about ourselves, and it's our knee-jerk reaction. Like before you have a chance to think, how you react to a situation. Our first house is about the personality we show the world and also how people perceive us. And because Venus is in retrograde through Aries, and because Mercury is in retrograde in Aries, both moving backwards, this is really a time of pausing and reflecting and reviewing for you. I also must note that up here in the upper left-hand corner, you can see all the zodiac signs and their ruling planet. And you can see Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is out of bounds in Cancer. And when a planet is out of bounds, it's not in its regular rotation. It's kind of like if you're driving down the highway and you go across the yellow or white line, it's out of its usual orbit. And so when Mars is out of its usual orbit, there can be unexpected things that happen. And because Aries is your ascendant, this will be a powerful, powerful catalyst to many, many, many major changes in your life. Does it feel like you're undergoing some major changes?
Yeah, it feels a bit like I'm waiting for major changes to happen, like I'm at a standstill a bit.
1,000,000%, because you have planets moving backwards through Aries and because Mars just ended his retrograde. Remember, Mars went through Cancer. Mars is your ruling planet, and then it went backwards through Cancer, and it was just sitting at 17 degrees of Cancer. Let's just check if you have anything. See your IC right here at 16 degrees of Cancer? IC represents your inner world. And so the feeling that you're at a standstill is because Mars was there, and it literally just hung out at 17 degrees of Cancer for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And remember, Mars is our planet of action, courage, determination. It is our motivation. So when you want to drive fast 90 miles an hour down the highway, but you can't because the planet of action, courage, and determination, your ruling planet, is parked at the side of the road at 17 degrees of Cancer. It's hard. So it's not you, it's the planets. It's not you, it's the planets. It's not you, it's the planets. So that is why you might have been feeling stuck. But
Okay.
let me assure you, Mars is starting to move forward. If you see here, Mars is already at 20 degrees of Cancer, and he will be moving very quickly. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So your chart ruler, who is a fiery, assertive, confident, driven, motivated chart ruler, was pushed backwards and then plunged into water. So it's been very hard for you to gain traction. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
But that's all going to change because as soon as Mars steps out of Cancer and begins transiting through Leo, you're going to get momentum. This is an incredible, unique, and rare opportunity to really take stock and really understand where your motivation is, what is driving you, what is important to you. Your natal Mars is in Leo, and your natal Mars is in the 5th house with Chiron. So what is the 5th house? So when your chart ruler is in the fifth house, it's activating your fifth house. And the fifth house is new ideas, it's creativity. Hi, pup. Yes, up. My assistant Ringo is here. She is a Libra. She doesn't talk a lot, but she's very, very helpful in her own way. And so the fifth house is children, new ideas, creativity, and fun. And Leo is the natural ruler of the fifth house, and Leo is a fire sign. Mars is very, very happy in Leo. And now that Mars is going to be coming back out of Cancer and into Leo, you're going to be experiencing your Mars return. So Mars went forward in Leo, then backwards in Leo, back into Cancer, and now it's going to be moving forward into Leo again. This is going to be a very auspicious time for you where you can gain traction and also a lot of confidence, because we're pausing right now and we are reassessing what is important to Naomi, what new ideas that you can come up with, because fifth house is creativity and fun and new inspired ideas. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
Now, your Chiron is in Leo. We're talking a lot about Chiron today. Chiron is our wounded healer. Chiron is currently, it's transiting in your first house and your 12th house in Aries. And your Mars is going to be going over your Chiron, your natal Chiron. And so when Chiron is next to our chart ruler and when Chiron is in our fifth house, it's a push and pull. It's a push and pull. You're really being strongly encouraged to take the big stage. Why? Leo has an archetype of the lion, and lion is the king of the jungle. So there's a part of you that wants to wear the crown and get on stage, and everybody's going to look to you for advice and insight. And you want to have that confidence, and yet because your natal Chiron is there, you may sometimes feel insecure. Does that resonate?
Yeah, definitely.
So you are very, very deserving, and everything you do is correct. And I would definitely try as hard as you can to silence the inner critic. To balance that Chiron, I'm going to just contact you separately
Okay.
about that. And we can talk offline because that's private and personal. Does that resonate?
Yeah, thank you.
So the eclipses, we're between two eclipses. We just had an eclipse in Virgo, and that eclipse will be activating activating your sixth house. Let's talk for a moment about your sixth house. The sixth house is our house of health and work and daily habits. It's like the hobbies that you have. Like if you walk your dog every day, or you meditate every day, or you work out every day, or you go to the same coffee shop every day. That sixth house of habits is going to be activated by these eclipses. We just had an eclipse. Let's just check your asteroids. So even though you don't have any planets or astral bodies in Virgo, doesn't mean it's not being activated. So this sixth house for the next 18 months is going to be activated. It is going to be a focal point for you. So daily habits, health, work, the gym that you go to, the hikes that you take, the meditations that you do. With Mars transiting and going through your Mars return in Leo, which is your fourth and fifth house, this might be a really good time to come up with positive affirmations having to do. I'm just going to write that down and include that in our side chat. And then the other house that's being activated is your house of Pisces. And Pisces rules your 11th house. The 11th house is your wishes and dreams. It's also your friend groups and the communities that you like spend time with. And who is here in Pisces? It's our good friend Pallas Athena. There's a triangle here in your 11th house of Pisces. It looks like a triangle sitting on a popsicle stick. Do you see that, Naomi?
Yeah, I do.
So that is the asteroid Pallas. Pallas Athena is our asteroid of strategy. All the asteroids are wonderful. Pallas Athena is actually currently transiting Aquarius. Why do we love this energy? Because Aquarius is about innovation. It's about throwing out the past and coming up with something new. When we have Pallas Athena in our 11th house of friend groups, we are mindful and we are strategic when we're collaborating or joining a friend group or joining a community group. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
It's with intention. So you have Lilith in Pisces and you have Vesta in Pisces. You have Pallas in Pisces. Pallas is at 9 degrees. Vesta is at 6 degrees. Lilith is at 25 degrees. You have Saturn here at 0 degrees. Whenever we have 3 or more planets in Pisces, it's called a stellium. And let's talk for just a moment about Vesta. Vesta is our asteroid of patience. So I want to say this conjunction with Pallas Athena, who is our asteroid of strategy, along with Vesta, our asteroid of patience, you have a keen aptitude for divine timing. You know when to speak, you know when to make a move. And this is going to be harnessed and amplified. Those incredible inherent skills are going to be used to your benefit to the nth degree with limitless opportunities during the next 18 months because your 11th house of wishes, dreams, community, and friend groups is going to be impacted by the eclipses. Does that resonate?
Yeah, definitely.
And we love Saturn there because Saturn is our planet of hard work, discipline, non-attachment. Saturn wants us to be the best version of us in our highest timeline. And so that is an incredible combination because when we have our friends and our community and we're looking our best and we're making strategic choices and we're putting our best foot forward, sometimes our friends and our networking, right? And that's very important in today and in terms of success. Yes, in your career, but also in life. That can be incredibly beneficial to your entire life. And so having that be your focal point for these eclipses for the next 18 months is extremely, extremely auspicious. And remember, friends, Virgo is where we have our south node. That's where we're leaving. We're doing more big picture things and we're going away from the Virgo energy. We're heading to the Pisces energy. And Pisces is very spiritual. It's very astrology is Pisces. Pisces is spirit and spirit. It can be any form of escapism, right? But it also can be about all the spiritual disciplines. And so this might be like a community, like an astrology community tonight, or other astrology or spiritual communities, a yoga community. And that might also be a wonderful place for you to shine. And really, you're going to be shining because you have Pallas Athena and Vesta there, divine timing and strategy. Does that resonate?
Totally, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for volunteering. I really, really
No, thank
appreciate it.
you.
And let's definitely connect after this call. Do I have Dora online? Is Dora here? Dora volunteered last time and she had to drop off. So if at all possible, I definitely want to get to Sarah, you volunteered, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Thank you for sending me your chart information on email. I have you all loaded up, and I would love to pull your chart up now if that feels aligned for you.
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to click on share screen, and then if you can confirm that you can see my chart and my screen in front of us.
Again.
Wonderful. And I'm going to include as much information as possible. You saw when we were chatting to our friend in the previous reading that I absolutely use the asteroids, and it gives me a lot more data, a lot more information, which is very important. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay, so for Sarah, she is a Capricorn ascendant. Capricorn, as you can see here in the left-hand side, Capricorn is ruled by our friend Saturn. Saturn is our planet of hard work and neutral discipline and non-attachment. Saturn is also rules, and it can be the planet of delays. And right here in our first house of identity, of our physical body, and also the personality that we show the world, we see Pallas Athena. Pallas really wants to play with us tonight, doesn't she? Pallas Athena is a glyph that looks like a triangle on a popsicle stick, and she is here also with that trident, and that trident is our friendly planet Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces. He's been in Pisces for 13 years, and he is going to be transiting into the sign of Aries soon. You have Neptune in the first house. Neptune in the first house, my friend Sarah. Why is this a challenge? Well, your ascendant is at 9 degrees of Capricorn, and Neptune is at 27 degrees of Capricorn, so it's not a tight conjunction. Conjunction is an aspect, a relationship between astral bodies, and usually we look for a 12-degree and 8-degree orb, but because our ascendant is at 9 degrees and Neptune, our planet of fog and mist, is at 27 degrees, that is a wider orb. But there will be, because Neptune is in our first house and it was in retrograde, there may be an element, if I dare say, of who am I? Who am I? Because Neptune is the planet of fog and mist, and Neptune absolutely makes things unclear. I do medical astrology, and when we have Neptune in the 6th house of health, sometimes we have undiagnosed illnesses. When we have Neptune in the 8th house, which is the house of sex and pregnancy, we have, I can't believe I'm 6 months pregnant and I didn't even know I was pregnant. Neptune is the fog and mist, and it can obscure our vision. It's very, very, very important, Sarah, for you specifically, because you have Neptune in the 9th house. If you're ever confused, remember, it is not you. If you're unclear, if you don't have clarity, you must light candles and burn incense. Either or is fine. If you have a home with a fireplace, I do not, but if you have a home with a fireplace, that is also a wonderful thing to do, is to put a fire on the fireplace. If you have a fire pit outside, that also works. But because Neptune is in your first house, and Neptune can be like illusions, confusions, fog and mist, because it's in the first house, we must always clear that fog and mist. And lighting candles or incense can be very helpful. Does that resonate, Sarah?
It does.
Great. So your chart ruler, because you're a Capricorn ascendant, your chart ruler is Saturn. And Saturn, your chart ruler, is in Aries. You see, Saturn has the glyph. It looks like a number 5. So you are going to be going through your Saturn return. That is a challenging time where we get to know ourselves better. There are books and books and books and books and books written for this very special 2.5, 3-year period called our Saturn return. We go through it at least twice in our lifetime, and you're about to enter your Saturn return. Because Saturn is your chart ruler, it is very, very important to understand that it is not you, it is the planets. Saturn is going to begin his transit in Aries in May, around Memorial Day weekend. But you may be feeling this energy already. And also, that is where these eclipses are. It's activating your 3rd house. You can see here on the bottom, Aries is in your third house. Let's talk about your third house for just a moment. Third house is our house of siblings. It is our house of transportation. It is our house of technology. It is also our house of thinking, information processing. It's the ideas that come into our head, the way we think, and the way we communicate. It's the way we speak, type, text, and listen. One of the most important things about the third house is the way we listen. And with Saturn being activated in your third house, this is going to be a critical core skill. There are books and books and books written about active listening, about let me make sure I got your message right. And then repeating the information back to a person. We're going to be very, very good at communicating about information processing. And dare I say, looking at things from many, many, many different perspectives. You are getting a preview of your Saturn return. This is a gift because Sun just stepped into Aries. You can see here on the left-hand side, this is the chart of the moment. Sun is at 0 degrees of Aries. Mercury is at 7 degrees of Aries. Venus is at 4 degrees of Aries. And of course, Chiron is at 21 degrees of Aries. Your Saturn is at 20 degrees of Aries, your natal Saturn. Let me just check your asteroids. And so Chiron is actually sitting on your Saturn right now. So this is a time in your life for the next 2 or 3 years where you are going to elevate your vibrational frequency. You're going to be very mindful about the information that's coming in, verifying that information, looking at the information from many, many, many perspectives, and then with neutral discipline and tremendous discernment, sharing your thoughts and ideas. Remember, Aries can make us, every zodiac sign has strengths and challenges, positives and negatives. And Aries is the sign of leadership. It is a bold, brave, incredible, courageous sign. But Aries can also be impulsive and impatient. And because Aries is ruled by Mars, it can be combative. And so while this is going to be an incredible, wonderful time to develop your thinking mind and really be the best listener you can be and communicate effectively and amazingly and wonderfully, especially since you have Pallas Athena, our asteroid of strategy, in your first house. You're always strategic because Pallas is in your first house. But during our Saturn return, with all these retrogrades in Aries, it can be very hard. We might put our foot in our mouth. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that does.
Not meaning to. Like, you know, it's the planets. That's exactly what's happening. And so we have to be very, very mindful. You are going to have the eclipses activating your 8th house of Virgo and your 2nd house of Pisces. Why do we love our North Node transiting our 2nd house of Pisces? This is an incredible opportunity. You have Ceres is in your natal Pisces, and you have your moon at 2 degrees of Pisces. So moon and Ceres are only 7 degrees apart. Ceres is our asteroid of nurturing and caring and protecting other people. And 2nd house is our house of wealth, self-esteem, assets, if you own a home, everything that you value. Pisces is going to be where the North Node is. So this may be an opportunity for you to make a lot of money over the next 18 months of eclipses. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I actually just bought a house.
Yeah. So that is it could be a time where you really focus on those assets. And Pisces is extremely creative, and Pisces is extremely intuitive. And so we're going to use that intuition to make your home valuable, yes. And we're going to use discernment. And when we use discernment and our intuition together, you might, go to 5 different stores and you may sit on 50 different couches and then you say, this is the one that feels right. And so that is going to be the energy. The second house, this second house in your natal chart of assets and the things you value is going to be a focus for the next 18 months. And then your Virgo house, this is a nodal return. Do you see your 8th house here? 8th house is also assets. It's other people's resources. It's the mortgage that you just signed. It could be taxes. 8th house is a house of secrets and taboo subjects. So it's also like sex, death, taxes, inheritance. And this is also being activated. Your 8th house is being activated by the South node. So it's interesting because your North node is in the 8th house, but your South node is in the 2nd house. Let's just check the degree of your North node. Your North node is at 20 degrees of Virgo. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we understand the nodes. You can see here on assets that the North node is at 27 degrees of Pisces. In this software, it doesn't say where the South node is. We just have to understand that the South node is at 27 degrees of Pisces. So you have a nodal return. And so for you, this 2nd house and this 8th house is going to be even more of a focal point. Does that resonate?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like you have your natal Mercury in Virgo. Let's check the degree. Your natal Mercury was in Virgo at 16 degrees in retrograde. So this is also being activated. You also have your black moon Lilith. You see the moon that looks like it's sitting on a popsicle stick?
Mm-hmm.
That is your black moon Lilith. Lilith is our divine feminine who gives us courage. Like, this may have been a very, very big deal to buy a home, and you just went for it. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So it's like tapping into this warrior goddess energy where, like, I'm going to do this and I'm brave, and it's amazing. So congratulations. That's a really big deal. And you used that energy so beautifully. So
Thank you.
we have Aries for your Saturn return. We have your Sun in Aries. We have Venus in retrograde in Aries. We have Mercury in retrograde in Aries. I will say Sun is going to be at the exact same degree with Venus. That's called Cazimi, when Venus and the Sun are at the same degree on March 22nd. That's just in 2 days. And then Mercury is going to be in Cazimi. So your 3rd house is going to be amplified. And remember, yes, 3rd house is communication. It's also your neighborhood, right? You may be meeting neighbors and meeting new people in your community and finding like different places to explore in your neighborhood because that 3rd house is being activated. Does that resonate?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for volunteering, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Love.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for volunteering. Love.
Good. Thank you.
And thank you for emailing me your chart information. I really do appreciate it. I loaded your chart in earlier so I can pull it up. I'm going to
Great.
click on share screen. And if you can just confirm that you can see my software.
Yes, I can. I'm on a phone, but I can see it. Yes.
Oh, super good. And I'm going to include all the asteroids because they add a different layer of more detail when we read our charts. And you can see here that Love has Scorpio as her ascendant. Scorpio is an intuitive water sign, the traditional ruler of the 8th house. And Scorpio is one of our zodiac signs that has 2 rulers. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which is currently transiting the sign of Cancer. And Scorpio also is ruled by Pluto. And Pluto is currently transiting Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is innovation, innovation, innovation. Now, we don't have any planets in our first house, but Scorpio and Taurus, your ascendant and descendant, were activated a year and a half ago when they were going through a nodal return. So 3 years ago to 18 months ago, you went through your nodal return. You had eclipses in your first house. That might have been a time of massive, massive change. Today, it is your 10th house being activated by the eclipses in Virgo, also an empty house. We do have that energy though. And who's our 10th house? With Virgo being activated in our 10th house because of the eclipses, love, that is our house of career. There may be some career changes, and that is because our eclipses are going to be transiting your 10th house and 10th house. The traditional is traditionally ruled by Capricorn and Saturn. And whether that house is empty or filled with planets, your career is going to be impacted by the eclipses. Does that resonate?
Yes, so there's a change you're saying, and when you say impacted, in which way?
There's absolutely going to be a shift or a change. This could be a lateral move. This could be a change of responsibility. This could be that the place of business moves from one address to another address. You could get a promotion or change jobs. There's going to be something dynamic that changes in the workplace for you. It
And this
could
is
be
now?
the team that you work with changes. You could be expanding or contracting because our south node is going to be eclipses in your 10th house. And that means that your 4th house of home is also going to be activated because the 4th house is ruled by Pisces. And it looks here that you can see this glyph that looks like antennas?
Yeah.
That's Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. And the glyph here that looks like a number 4, that's Jupiter. Jupiter is quite happy in Pisces because Jupiter rules Pisces. And what is Jupiter? Jupiter is our planet of expansion. It's our great benefic. Jupiter brings blessings and gifts and abundance. This is going to be a very auspicious time. And this eclipse is going to be activating your 4th house, which is home and also childhood, the relationship you have with parents or people who feel like mentors, perhaps. Does that resonate?
Yes, and when is this all happening?
So the nodes of the moon shifted January 10th, 2025, and they will be in this sign for a year and a half. We just experienced our very first eclipse in Virgo, March 14th, and we'll be having eclipses in your 10th house of career and your 4th house of home for the next 18 months, all the way through summer 2026. So the North Node is going to be amplifying Mercury, our planet of communication and information processing. And remember, Mercury is also the ruler of siblings, your relationship with your siblings. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
So this may be, because it's so auspicious, because Jupiter the Great Benefic is there, you may have a better relationship with your siblings than you've ever had before, because the North Node is there amplifying the energy, and Jupiter expands. It is the great expander. Jupiter's also, we talk about gifts and blessings a lot. Jupiter also is protective energy. Your siblings may come to you for advice or ask you to assist them, and you're going to be taking them under your wing. Does that resonate?
Well, there isn't much communication going on with my siblings right now. So if this is opening up some door, that would be great. But right now, yeah.
100%. And it's so funny that you used the word love, communication, because your Mercury is home in the 4th house, and Mercury rules siblings. So that communication with your siblings is going to be activated for the next 18 months. Now, our next eclipse is going to be in Libra. We have just ended an 18-month cycle where Aries and Libra and Aries is the axis of me as an individual, you as an individual, and our relationship with others. And the last eclipse for Libra, and Libra rules your 11th house of friend groups, community, wishes, and dreams. That will happen on March 29th in Aries, and that is your 5th house. And then full moon will activate on April 12th in Libra. So these houses, your 11th house and your 5th house, Aries, are going to be activated. And of course, you have a birthday. This is so exciting.
Yeah, the 25th. Right?
I do have to say that your sun is at 4 degrees of Aries, and I do want to point out that Mercury is going to be in Cazimi. You can see here on the left in assets, Mercury is going to be Cazimi exact your natal sun on March 24th, which may be Monday. So
What does that mean?
So Mercury Cazimi is when our sun is at the exact same degree as Mercury. And that is actually your birth sign. So at the same time, your natal sun is at the exact same degree of Mercury. What can that mean? That can mean you get a lot of incredible insight and information. You may have very vivid dreams. You may be told something important by someone important in your life. You may be sharing information. I would definitely keep a pen and paper handy and write down all the new ideas that come to you. Mercury Cazimi can be a very powerful, powerful time. And 2 days before that, we have Venus in Cazimi at 2 degrees. So your natal sun is going to be activated by this transiting sun, transiting Venus in retrograde, and transiting Mercury in retrograde. Because Aries can be fiery, I definitely want you to amp up that self-care and feed your Venus. What do I mean by feed your Venus? Venus rules the 5 senses. It's the things you love to listen to, the things you love to smell and see and taste and enjoy. So when we're feeding our Venus, we might have a silk pillowcase to sleep on. We might take Epsom salt baths. We may use a beautiful essential oil or have flowers in our home. You may be, smelling something wonderful, or also treating yourself to wonderful meals. Are you planning on going someplace special to celebrate your birthday, out to dinner, or ordering something very nice?
Going out to dinner with some friends in my spiritual community. That was really it.
Perfect.
So
it's a wonderful way to feed your Venus.
So how long is the Venus Cazimi, I guess? When should I be amping up my self-care?
I would amp up your self-care now, because Venus Cazimi is on March 22nd. We're already close. Remember, our orbs, right, determine how far away the relationship is between our planets. Cazimi is an exact conjunction where Venus and the sun are in the same degree, 2 degrees, at the same time. So that is exact March 22nd, but we're already feeling it. So today through next week, I would feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus. And Mercury Cazimi will be 2 days later on the 24th. Again, we're already feeling that energy. And when Mercury is in Aries, we might put our foot in our mouth. So I would, just before you say something, you have to go through that checklist. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it true? Is it necessary? And maybe think about things from 100 different perspectives, right? Maybe I believe this, but she believes something different. It's a very, very good thing during Mercury retrograde to listen more, listen more, listen more. Of course, because it's your birthday, everyone's going to be leaning in and listening for anything that you want to share. But I think it's going to be a powerful time of getting insights. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I hope to, yes.
Now you're going through your Chiron return. You can
What
see
is
that your natal chart, on your natal chart, that your Chiron is at 9 15 degrees. And you can see here on the left-hand side of assets, Chiron is currently at 21 degrees of Aries. With a stellium in Aries currently and going through our Chiron return, you may be taking things personally. Instead of thinking that has nothing to do with me, you may be feeling wounded or taking things personally from time to time. We can talk offline about what a Chiron return in the 5th house looks like, because that's private. Some things with astrology are for the big stage and some things are private. A Chiron return in the 5th house is private. Does that resonate?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And anything about, I guess, my love life, or is that more
So
offline?
love life is your 7th house.
Mhm.
Let's just check who your 7th house. Your 7th house is in Taurus. We love that. So 7th house is got Taurus and Mars in it. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So it's very, very, very important for you to feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus. Now, Venus is going retrograde. So it's going to go through Aries backwards, and then it's actually going to step through backwards into Pisces. But Venus is an inner planet, love. And so Venus will finish retrograde. It will station direct in Pisces on April 12th. Then it will go forwards through Pisces. It will go forwards through Aries. And then Venus will transit your 7th house in Taurus. Your 7th house is your house of romantic partnerships. All partnerships, but romantic partnerships. You see that DSC in Taurus? That is your partnership indicator. And your descendant is at 16 degrees of Taurus. So when Venus is transiting over 16 degrees of Taurus a week before, a week after, the opportunity to meet a special someone is activated and amplified. Does that resonate?
When is that? You said a week before, a week after, when?
Yeah. So let's talk offline and we can look at the Venus transit. So you're going to be paying attention to the chart of the moment, the chart of the moment, the chart of the moment. And late spring, when Venus enters Taurus, we're going to focus on Taurus themed things. Taurus, by the way, is about food. So going out and enjoying yourself is a good time. It's a good time to meet somebody. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Frisia, do I have Frisia, please?
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for emailing me your chart information. Can I read your chart, please? Does that feel aligned?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for volunteering. And can you confirm that you can see the screen, the software that we're using?
Yes, I can see it.
Fantastic. And I'm going to be choosing all of the asteroids so that we have as much information as possible. We truly do use as much information as possible to get as accurate a reading. And you can see here, friends, that Frisia has her ascendant in Cancer. We can see here on the left on our assets, the zodiac signs and the ruling planets. And Cancer is ruled by our watery and intuitive moon. This can be very challenging for us, Frisia. I have my moon in Cancer. Moon is home in Cancer. But when Cancer is our ascendant, we feel things tremendously. And because our ruling planet spends only 2.5 days in each zodiac sign, sometimes we could feel like a completely different person every 2.5 days. We might want to dress differently. We might want to think differently. We may want to act differently. And we certainly feel our emotions tremendously because Cancer is an intuitive water sign. Does that resonate with you?
Yes.
Cancer is also a very protective and nurturing energy. Do people come to you? Do you feel the need to feed people and care for people and protect people in your orbit?
Yeah, definitely.
100%. Great. Let's just check to see if you have any planets So the first planet in your chart is in your second house, Leo containing Mars. First, let's see where your natal moon is. Because you're Cancer ascendant and Cancer is ruled by moon, we have to see where our chart ruler is. And you can see here that moon, your chart ruler, is in Pisces. And it looks like moon is with many other planets in Pisces. We have Mars, we have Saturn, we have Mercury, we have your midheaven, and then we have your sun in Aries. Let's check how many. So we have a 9th house moon, Mercury, Saturn conjunction, and then Venus is actually technically in your 8th house. Moon, Mercury, and Saturn in the 9th house of Pisces. So first and foremost, when our chart ruler is in the 9th house, we prioritize learning and education. We also prioritize other cultures and foreign lands. Do you like to travel, Frisia?
Yeah.
So that may be a priority. That may really spark joy and give you tremendous bliss because your chart ruler is in the 9th house. And that may feel uplifting because remember, moon is the planet that rules our emotions and our feelings, and Pisces feels deeply. Remember, Pisces is the only water sign that doesn't wear a protective shell. It doesn't have any boundaries. And so you may want to take like a long river cruise and visit 100 different cities if you could. That may be something that's really interesting to you. You may be attracted to different foreign cities that are on water or islands because Pisces is always going to be something that will attract you to water things like lakes and rivers and oceans. Like you might want to do that 10 times a year if you could. It's also about learning about different cultures and enjoying and savoring that. 9th house is also about spirituality and all the disciplines of spirituality. With Mercury there, you may also want to talk about those trips. You may also want to share your knowledge. And it looks like you have Venus in the 8th house. 8th house is other people's assets. It's the house of taboo subjects, but you do have Pisces, Venus in Pisces at 0 degrees. So you have moon in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Pisces. Let's see if you have Saturn in Pisces at 17 degrees. With Saturn in your 9th house, you may be inclined to have a structure to those vacations. Like you may want to know in advance what your itinerary is before you take a trip, or have a checklist of things that you want to do while you're on that vacation. You may want to pack well in advance. Like you would never, with Saturn in your 9th house, you would not pack the morning of the flight. You would pack well in advance. Does that resonate?
Not the packing part, but the itinerary part. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's amazing. I have my son in my 9th house, and so I really do appreciate higher learning and obviously spirituality. Pisces and all of the planets in your natal Pisces are going to be activated by the eclipses for the next 18 months. And so that 9th house being where your chart ruler lives and resides, it's always going to be important, but it's going to be especially activated. And Mercury is the things that you think about, the information coming in, processing, and the information going out. And so that's going to be activated and amplified through these eclipses. And then the opposite of Pisces on the same axis is Virgo. This is also going to be activated by the eclipses. And this is where you can see the K on the key. This is a 3rd house Virgo with Chiron. So these eclipses are going to be amplifying the wounds that you feel to heal. And that could be choosing your words wisely, maybe not wanting to offend someone with your words, and really using discernment when you're communicating. It's so interesting that the planet of communication is in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter and expansive, and yet you have that Chiron wound in the third house. It's also the house of siblings. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister.
So there may be healing to do with your siblings, or healing with the third house themes, if that resonates. The other house that's being activated with Venus in retrograde in Aries, with the sun there, Mercury activated in Aries, and also transiting Chiron, is your 10th house. 10th house is ruled by Aries, and that is where we have these eclipses right now. Are you going through changes in your career or evaluating your career choice? Are you thinking of changing careers or doing a lateral move?
Definitely looking to like advance my career right now. Yeah.
This is a perfect time to do that. You're being boosted, encouraged, and amplified to review and make changes. And it's a very auspicious time to ask for a promotion, ask for a raise, ask for more responsibility, ask for more challenges. Remember, Venus and Mercury are moving backwards over the sun, and then they'll be moving forward over the sun. Both of those planets move faster than the sun does. And so you're going to be getting many, many weeks of boosted abundance and focus from the sun, from Venus, from Mercury. It's the most auspicious time to ask for more responsibility, ask for more challenges, ask for that raise. I'm so happy for you. This is a wonderful, wonderful, auspicious time for you, Frisia. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for volunteering. I'm so happy for you. Is Suman on? Suman, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Suman, is this an auspicious time for us to review your chart, please?
Yes.
I just want to say thank you so much for emailing me earlier so that I could load your chart information into the software. I'm going to click share screen, and I'm going to go to settings and include all of our asteroids. I add our asteroids because I like to have as much information as possible. As a quick review, Juno is our asteroid of attachment style. Yes, Juno is June and weddings and marriage, but it's also our attachment style. Lilith is our divine feminine warrior goddess energy. Vesta is our asteroid of patience. Pallas is our asteroid of strategy. Ceres is our asteroid of nurturing, much like the zodiac sign Cancer. And Chiron is our asteroid of wounds. And it's very important to me, since those asteroids are closer to us in our solar system than the outer planets, which include Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, to include that divine feminine energy. It's also very important because when you're looking at the planets, Suman, all of the planets are masculine except for Venus and the moon. And so we need more divine feminine energy, and we have so much more information when we include our asteroids. And I do Western Placidus, so I like as much detail as possible. So let's look at your chart. You are a Capricorn rising. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and you can see Saturn is right here. Let's check the degree that Saturn is at. Saturn is at 24 degrees of Capricorn, and our ascendant is at 17 degrees of Capricorn. So our chart ruler is Saturn, and Saturn is present in the first house. What does this mean, friends? This means that Suman, in her personality, has discipline, has a strong work ethic. She is viewed by the people in her life as a hard worker who works very, very hard. And it's just a fact. Saturn has delayed rewards. Suman may have to work a lot, and exert a lot of energy before she's recognized or rewarded for her efforts. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, that is spot on. I mean, that's how I'm perceived at work and just everywhere. Huh.
Yes. 100 million%. So let's look at the other planets that are in your first house. So we look at ascendant at 17 degrees of Capricorn, and we're going to check the power of the planets in your first house. Saturn, your chart ruler, is in the first house. So you have the personality of working hard, neutral discipline, non-attachment, delays. You have Uranus at 9 degrees of Capricorn. You have Neptune at 13 degrees of Capricorn. And look at here, you have the North Node at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So your North Node is just 5 degrees from your Saturn. We have a major stellium in Saturn. You also have Mercury in Capricorn at 5 degrees and Venus in Capricorn at 11 degrees. So the important thing to point out, friends, is because our ascendant is at 17 degrees of Capricorn, technically Venus at 11 degrees of Capricorn and Mercury at 5 degrees of Capricorn are in your 12th house. Now, if we were not working with placidus, if we were working with whole signs, it would be a very different story. But we're working with placidus, and so we have more information. So your first house and your Capricorn are really, really loaded up. We have a very, very tight conjunction. All of the planets are collaborating for work, hard work. And remember, Capricorn is on the same axis as Cancer, right? It's traditionally the house, the 10th house of hard work and home, of nurturing Cancer, protective Cancer, and Capricorn. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
fun. So this must be a very, very big part of your personality.
Yes, it is. For better or for worse.
Yes. Now, I want to talk about Virgo. Virgo is going to be activated for the next 18 months. And who's here in your 8th house? 8th house, remember, is other people's assets. It is the house of taboo subjects, which could include the taxes we pay, death, sex, taxes, inheritance. It's private matters, taboo subjects. It's also pregnancy. And Pallas Athena is here in the 8th house. This could be investments that you make. And Pallas there is going to be amplified by all of the eclipses. Let's check what degree Pallas Athena is at. So Pallas is at 22 degrees of Virgo. We just had an eclipse on March 14th at 23 degrees of Virgo. So your ability to strategize is being amplified for the next 18 months. I mean, you're going to step into your personal power. You're going to be in the driver's seat. This is going to be a time where we flex our muscle of strategy. This is going to be a very, very important time. And this activating Pallas is going to be essential. Why? Because your 2nd house of assets and wealth, investments, is being activated by the eclipses. Even though you don't have any natal planets here in the 2nd house of Pisces, this is where the eclipses are going to be. And 2nd house is like buying a home, making investments. It's everything that you value. If you really value art, then it could be investments in art. Whatever you really prioritize and value, that is going to be amplified by these eclipses. And then your 3rd house is where Aries is. And this is where Saturn is going to be moving into. Right now, Saturn is in your 2nd house. Remember, Saturn is your chart ruler, and he's transiting through your 2nd house, making sure that you contribute to your 401k, that you have a structure and a foundation, that you have strategies in place to do regular savings. And it's also going to be moving into Aries, into your 3rd house in May. And so this 3rd house is going to be amplified by this Venus retrograde, by this Mercury retrograde, Now, today's the first day that the sun is stepping into Aries, and we're going to be having an eclipse there on March 29th. So your third house doesn't have any natal planets, but it is certainly going to be amplified. Third house is traditionally ruled by Mercury, and it is the house of information processing, gathering information, maybe researching. And it's also the house of communication, neighborhood, siblings. Do you have siblings?
I do, yes, one younger sister.
Yeah. So that relationship will be amplified by by this eclipse, and also by the retrogrades of Venus and Mercury. Do you have any questions for me?
Got it. So even if I don't have any planets in the second and third house, there would still be an effect?
Absolutely, 100%. That's an excellent question. Yes, whether there's planets there or not. I'll give you an example, a perfect example of an empty house having significance. I have my Capricorn in the fourth house. Now, fourth house is our childhood. Even though I don't have any planets there, I was raised in a very Capricorn household where my childhood was about getting good grades and doing chores. It was not emotional attachments. It was about getting good grades, learning, and doing chores. So even though I don't have any planets in the fourth house, my childhood was absolutely a Capricorn home. So even though we don't have planets in a house, we're still absolutely having that energy. The important thing about Pisces in your second house and the eclipses there is that when you're thinking about making these investments and building wealth, and that will be the focus of these eclipses, you're going to use your discernment, of course, but your intuition. Does my heart really want this? What does my gut say? That is the right strategy for you. And of course, your strategy is the key word for you, Saman, because Virgo, where the eclipses are going to be with Pisces, that's where your Pallas Athena is. So strategy, trusting your heart and trusting your intuition. Does that resonate?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you
Yay.
so much for volunteering.
Thank you.
Is Dora here? Dora, are you with me? I see Cassie came in. Cassie, I have you on my list. And Margaret, you're MG.
Yep, I'm here.
Margaret MG.
I'm here too. It's Cassie.
Thank you, Cassie. Margaret, I'm going to read you. And then Cassie's next. Does that resonate? Does that feel aligned? Can I bring that up right now?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Click share. The noise in the background is the lightning alarm for the neighbor. There's lightning on its way. I'm going to confirm that you can see my screen.
I can.
And I'm going to click all the asteroids so that we have a completely filled chart with as much information as possible. And here we have MG's chart, and her ascendant is right on the cusp of Aries and Taurus. When we have our ascendant on the cusp of two zodiac signs, we're definitely going to feel the energy of both zodiac signs. I have my ascendant at 1 degree Libra, and I definitely can feel the energy with both zodiac signs. If we were pulling up my Vedic astrology software, you might have a different ascendant because it's so cuspy. But you are truly 100% ruled by Venus because your ascendant is technically in this chart by your ascendant is in Taurus. So Venus is your chart ruler, and Venus is in the sign of Pisces. So your chart ruler, Venus, is going to be activated for the next 18 months in Pisces in your 11th house. That is an exciting time. So your chart ruler, your identity, who you are, is going to be amplified by the eclipses for the next 18 months. Very exciting. So when Pisces is the ruler of our 11th house is our wishes and our dreams and our friend groups and our community. We're using our intuition and our gut, we're trusting our gut when we're making decisions about the people we spend our time with and the people we do not spend our time with. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Yes, it's a lot of discernment. You also have Vesta at 5 degrees of Pisces. Vesta in the 11th house can be an interesting wrinkle because Vesta is our asteroid of patience. There may be some kind of aspect where you need to be extremely patient with some of your friends. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
It's the nicest way I can say that because this is a recording. You get me though, don't you? You get me. You know what I'm saying without me saying it.
Yes.
So Vesta is in Pisces and Venus is in Pisces. Your sun is in Pisces. And when we have 3 or more planets in a zodiac sign, it's called a stellium. So these natal planets are being activated by the eclipses. Sun is our vitality. And so your personality, the things that you feel are important, are going to be amplified for the next 18 months. You're going to have a great next 2 years. This is going to be a fun, fun time for you. And also being activated is your Mars in Virgo. And of course, your North Node in Virgo. You're going to be going through your nodal return. This is an exciting time for you. It looks like your North Node is right on the cusp of, yes, I know, Ringo, come here, you can help me. Ringo doesn't like lightning, and we just had a lightning alarm. So we're going to do a little TLC with Ringo while we read charts. So Pisces and Virgo is where the North Node and the South Node are. Pisces and Virgo is where the eclipses are going to be for the next 18 months. And this is your nodal return. So what is your purpose? When you incarnated here on Earth, you follow your North Node. And your North Node is in your 6th house of Virgo with Mars. Why do we love when Mars is conjunct our North Node? Because Mars is our planet of courage, action, and determination. Mars is going to give you the bold incentive and drive to align to your soul purpose, not ignore it. You know, we have free will. And so we can choose to do our soul purpose, or we can say, you know what, I'll do that next week or next month or next year because society says I should be doing A, B, and C. Where what you really feel in your gut, you don't even know where it comes from, it's aligning with your soul purpose. And your North Node is in Virgo. Let's talk about Virgo. Who's Virgo? Well, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury can be a little anxious, and Mercury really pushes Virgo to have very high standards. Virgo is very organized. Virgo is very detail-oriented. Virgo likes practicality and lists. Virgo is a grounded earth sign with very, very high standards. Now, at its very, very, very best, Virgo is acts of service. Do you feel like you get lit up and you enjoy helping other people?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that aspect of service may be a huge part of your North Node mission. Now, my North Node is also in the 6th house. And I am an astrologer. I also play gongs, and I'm a sound healer. I channel light language, and I do Kundalini activation. And when I play my gongs, I have to rent space and then haul my equipment and then pay insurance. So I can't do acts of service when I'm playing my gongs, but I certainly can do acts of service when I do my astrology webinars. And I always put at least 50 tickets on Eventbrite so that it's a free event and it's accessible to everyone. And so I'm aligning with my soul purpose, my North Node in the 6th house of service by offering free astrology. So this focus on your North Node with your nodal return in Virgo may amplify your need to find a way to serve. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I love that.
That's wonderful. I also have to add that the 6th house is also, or Virgo rather, is also the zodiac sign of pets.
Mm.
Is pet something that interests you?
Yes.
Because you could literally, as your acts of service, when you're aligning with Virgo, you could go to a shelter and like take some of the dogs out for the day. And that would be very, very North Node in Virgo. Does that resonate?
I love that. That's awesome.
That would be an incredible way during the next 18 months when your North Node in Virgo is being activated to do those acts of service that will light you up and really fill your heart chakra, if that resonates. So your 11th house is going to be activated. That is your friend group, your community, and also your wishes and your dreams. And that is where your sun is. This may be a wonderful time to reevaluate the things that you long for. And they may be changing. To be very, very honest with you, MJ, we may have really, really, really wanted something and strive for something and created a beautiful vision board. The vision board may be out and there may be a brand new vision board coming. Does that resonate?
A little bit, yeah. I think I've only like recently kind of started to consider a shift of what my like previous desires were.
Right. So that may be amplified, and that's wonderful. I think being our most authentic self takes a lot of courage, but because the 11th house and your 5th house are being activated by the eclipses, that may be something you work on. I can't wait to hear about that on your journey. And of course, we must talk about Aries and the fact that you have Saturn in the 5th house. Let's see if your Mercury is there. So you have Mercury, your natal Mercury at 0 degrees Aries. You're going to be going through your Mercury return.
I don't have it in front of me.
You could
but
just
I'm
mute
also
your
sitting
Zoom,
there.
everyone. I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much for muting your Zoom, everyone.
Will-
So right now, Mercury, you can see here on the left, right now, currently, this is our chart at the moment, and Mercury is at 7 degrees of Aries, but it's got a little R next to it. That means Mercury is moving backwards in retrograde. So Mercury during this retrograde cycle will be moving backwards to your 0 degree natal Mercury. You're having your Mercury return, and Mercury will be in Cazimi at 4 degrees on March 24th. So this may be a time like when Sun and Mercury come together, Mercury is combust. It changes dramatically and then it moves on. There may be a lot of new ideas. There may be a change in the way you look at something or you process something. And of course, this is activating your 11th and 12th house. And 12th house is our beliefs, right? It's our subconscious programming. There may be a limiting belief that you've previously thought about yourself that you can release during a Mercury Cazimi and a Mercury return. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Right.
I'm really excited for you, and thank you so much for volunteering today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cassie, are you with me?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Cassie, and thank you for contacting me earlier with your information for your chart. I really appreciate you volunteering. I do hear that
Thank
lightning.
you for reading for me.
Ringo wants to make sure I hear the warnings. Yes, you're right here. You're doing a great job, Ringo. Ringo does not like lightning, Cassie. So I'm going to choose settings, and I'm going to choose Descendant, RIC, Lilith, Juno, Vesta, Ceres, Pallas, Chiron, and we're going to pull your chart up. And you can see that Cassie has an ascendant in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by our watery and intuitive moon. And Cassie's moon is in Capricorn. And Cassie's moon is conjunct her North Node in Aquarius. That is where Pluto is currently transiting. And also Saturn. You have Saturn at 25 degrees of retrograde in Capricorn, conjunct Moon at 27 degrees of Capricorn. That is only a 2-degree orb. So your chart ruler is being activated by Saturn. Now remember, in Hellenistic astrology and in sect techniques, Saturn is on your team. Sometimes they call Saturn and Mars the malefic planets, but because you're born during the day, Saturn, yes, he can be very challenging. Saturn likes hard work and neutral discipline and non-attachment, but Saturn is clearly on your team and on your side. So I don't mind Saturn being next to your natal moon and your natal moon being your chart ruler, because the rewards that Saturn gives us far exceed rewards from anything else. When we align to the best version of us in the highest timeline, which is what Saturn really wants us to do, we get incredible, incredible rewards. So really, because Cancer is ruled by moon, we have to check in with our emotions and feelings. How do I feel about that? That's an important question for you, Cassie, because you have Cancer as your ascendant and because moon is your chart ruler. How do I feel about it, and how does my heart feel about it? Does that resonate?
Yes.
And because your north node is here in Aquarius, and that is where Pluto is, there could be some big changes in your future. Your Virgo third house is being activated. We could have a new neighborhood in your future. And your ninth house of Pisces is being activated by these eclipses. And your 10th house is being activated by Venus in retrograde, the sun's transit through Aries, Mercury in retrograde, and of course, Chiron. And you have Vesta in Aries as well. So your 10th house is being activated. There can be shifts in your career, and also your 9th house, which would be like learning new things and really focusing on education and focusing even on teaching or being a mentor. You could be learning something new, and that could be a priority for you in the next 18 months, because that 9th house of learning, education, foreigners, foreign travel, and spirituality is going to be amplified significantly by the eclipses in your 9th house. Those are 9th house themes. And Pisces is the sign of spirituality. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Virgo is the zodiac sign that rules your 3rd house, and that is your neighborhood and your information processing. The 3rd house is traditionally ruled by Mercury and the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is obsessed with learning. That can be a real priority for you. Is there something new that you're focused on learning?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what to learn next always. So
it could be enjoying an educational podcast or an audiobook where you're learning something. I belong to Gaia Television, and I'm always watching something new. So those things will fill you up, and those subject matters are going to be significantly amplified by the eclipses in the next 18 months. Does that resonate?
mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for volunteering, Cassie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for reading for me.
Do I have Kate, please? Kate B.
Yes.
Hi, Kate. Thank you for
Hi.
being here, and thank you for emailing me your chart details earlier. I'm going to hit share screen with my assistant, Ringo McCartney. Can you confirm that you can see my screen, please? And I'm going to
see it. Yep.
all of the asteroids. I know, I hear that lightning, darling. Thank you so much for showing me that you're a little nervous and vulnerable about that lightning. Thank you. I know. So, Kate, you are a Libra ascendant, and we can see here on the left-hand side of assets that Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. And Venus is currently in retrograde in the sign of Aries. But because Libra is your ascendant, we must see where your chart ruler is. And it looks like Venus is home in Libra. Your ascendant is at 22 degrees of Libra, and Venus is in your 12th house in Libra. You also have Mercury in Libra in your 12th house, conjunct Venus. You also have Pallas Athena at 22 degrees of Libra, at the exact degree of your ascendant. Do you see this, Kate B? Ascendant 22 degrees of Libra, Pallas Athena at 22 degrees of Libra. Friends, Kate's chart is the perfect example of why we must include all of our asteroids in astrology. We must have as much information as possible. When we have our ascendant exact Pallas Athena, the asteroid of strategy, we learn so much about Kate. We have a whole other dynamic about who Kate is as an individual. Why? Because Libra is the archetype of the scales. It's about being fair to everyone. It's about rooting for the underdog. It's about treating everyone equally. But sometimes with Libra, when we have that many planets in Libra, we put other people's needs first. We put ourselves last. Sometimes we try to keep the peace and maintain the peace. And when we have so many planets of Libra, and I also have so many planets in Libra, we try to keep the peace with everyone else that we actually create war within ourselves. And so we really need to embrace this Pallas Athena, which is a vital part of Kate's identity. Now, Pallas Athena is our asteroid of strategy. Let's talk about Pallas Athena just a little more because it's such a huge, important part of Kate B's chart. So in the skies with the gods and the goddesses, Mars, the god of war, he does sparring. He fights with his sword and he knocks down 100 people, 100 knights full of armor. And he beats every one of them and he says, who's next? And who steps up? It's Pallas Athena. And she's this teeny tiny little sprite of a girl. She can barely hold her sword. She can barely hold her shield. But she gets up there with Mars and everybody's laughing at her. But she doesn't back down. She wins. She beats Mars, and she doesn't just beat him once. She beats him every single time because she uses strategy. She never loses a battle, even though she's this delicate little flower. And that is an example of how using strategy, which is an innate skill in your personality, is vitally important. Using strategy is a muscle, and we all have different muscles, right? Runners use different muscles than chefs, do they not? We're either cutting vegetables and lifting heavy things, right? My cousin Danny, he used to drive trucks and do deliveries across the country. He had different skills than I did. He had Vesta, patience, prominent in his first house. Other people can't even stay in the car for an hour. Everyone has different skills. And your innate skill on your ascendant is your ability to strategize. And that is a muscle that we must flex and grow in confidence so that we can use Pallas Athena to the best of our ability. Now, your chart ruler, because your chart ruler is Venus, and Venus is in your 12th house, that 12th house of subconscious is being activated now that Venus is in retrograde in Aries. Remember, Venus rules the 5 senses. Venus rules both Libra and Taurus. Let's talk about the Taurus aspect of Venus. Taurus is like the 5 senses, and Taurus is food. It's about eating delicious food. It's about listening to wonderful things, smelling wonderful fragrances. It's about, treating ourselves with TLC. It's about self-care and self-love. It's about harmony and balance. But it's also important, especially when Venus is in retrograde, is to evaluate our relationships with everyone else and our relationship with self. Am I filling my needs? Am I filling my heart up? What do I really want to enjoy and savor? And how is this relationship with self impacting my beliefs? When Venus is in retrograde, we're reviewing. And Mercury is also in retrograde. So you have your natal Venus and your natal Mercury in the 12th house of hard programming, the subconscious beliefs. And that is being reviewed. Which limiting beliefs, which subconscious programming can I eliminate?
Right.
Can I heal from and can I release? With Libra as your ascendant, may I just also add, Libra is an air sign. So it's important for you, Kate, and everyone that has an abundance of air energy. Remember, our air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. If you have an abundance of air signs, then we should be burning candles. We should be turning on that fireplace if it's easy enough, or burning incense if that feels aligned for you. But candles, candles, candles. And we really need to make sure that we have affirmations so that we do not invite the inner critic in. It's very, very important to not allow the inner critic in, especially when we have a lot of planets in Libra, because Libra is so used to putting other people's needs first. Remember, Libra is the sign of justice, the sign of rooting for the underdogs, but it can be exhausting putting other people's needs first. With this transit of Venus and Mercury in retrograde in Aries, we have to really amp up our self-love and our self-care. And it's a wonderful time to review how we're doing that and what limiting beliefs we can eliminate, since your natal Venus and your natal Mercury are in your 12th house of the subconscious. You may also be getting major downloads through vivid dreams. Perhaps keep a journal at the side of your bed. And this will be amplified, Kate, because we have Mercury cazimi on the 24th, Venus cazimi on the 22nd. Cazimi is when the Sun and Mercury are at the same degree. The Sun and Venus are at the same degree. That'll be March 22nd, Venus cazimi, March 24th, cazimi. It's like unplugging your bodies and plugging them back in. Cazimi is when the Sun comes in and joins with the Mercury and then joins with Venus. And it's a major, major reset for us. I do also have to note that it looks like your north node is in Aries, and we have a solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees. Let's check and see what degree your north node is. Kate, your north node, your natal north node is at 10 degrees in Aries. I do have to point out that this R is not relevant because the north node and the south node of the moon only move backwards. So in this case, you do not have a retrograde north node. That's just the way the north node moves. It moves backwards. Why is this very relevant? Well, the north node is at 10 degrees of Aries, and our eclipse on March 29th is a solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries. Kate B, your north node is being significantly activated and amplified by this solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th. You may be feeling that energy right now. And with all of your planets in the 12th house also being activated, with the Sun entering Aries, with your Chiron, natal Chiron in Aries, with your Saturn in Aries. Remember, you're going to be going through your Saturn return because Saturn will be moving into Aries in May. This is a time of great change for you. I'm very, very excited about these wonderful changes in store. It will also be activating your 5th house of fun, because we'll also be having for the next 18 months eclipses in Pisces. And your Pisces is in the 5th house of fun. You're about to have a download of fun. You're about to have an influx of fun. We like when we're having activations in our 5th house of fun. Good for you, Kate.
Awesome.
That's going to be an exciting adventure for you. Thank you so much for volunteering. I hope that resonated with you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Appreciate you.
Mimi, do I have Mimi? Mimi, are you with me? I know I hear the rain and I hear the lightning. You're being such a good girl, Ringo. Thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Mimi. How are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. Oklahoma, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to share a screen, Mimi. Can you confirm
Okay.
you can see my chart?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'm going to click on settings. And as we've seen again and again, dear friends, including the asteroids is always a good idea when we're reading a natal chart. I hope we've seen that again and again today, how important it is to include our asteroids when we're reading our natal chart. You can see, Mimi, that your ascendant is in Capricorn, and we know here from our assets that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is our planet of neutral discipline, hard work, rules, delays. And your natal Saturn appears to be here in Gemini in the 5th house. 5th house or 6th house? Let's check. So we have our chart ruler, Saturn, at 28 degrees of Gemini. And Saturn is in our 6th house. So let's talk about our chart ruler for just a moment, shall we, Mimi? You have your ascendant is Capricorn. Your chart ruler is in the 6th house. Our 6th house is the house of service, daily habits. It is the house of health and work and pets. And with Saturn, your chart ruler there, Saturn is going to make you very disciplined. You may feel pressure to do the same thing every day or have consistency, have rules that you must have a certain routine in the morning, a certain structure. Because Saturn is the planet of constriction and rules and structure. Saturn encourages us, especially when Saturn is in the 6th house, to have a lot of structure and routine. Does that resonate for you, Mimi?
Yes. I'm sorry. Does it say April 5th?
April 3?
April 7th.
7. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Because I
that.
was looking at my moon and it said Leo and my moon is in Libra. But
Let's,
Capricorn is still my ascendant though.
well, I'd rather get all the information 100%. Actually, I'm so glad you checked that. Let's just take a moment. Great catch. I'm so thrilled. April, you have a birthday coming up. What are you doing to celebrate your birthday, darling?
When you read my chart last time, you said I should do it big.
Is it AM or PM, darling?
It's AM, 3:03 AM. So I'll hopefully I'll be going out and having a nice dinner. So
I'm so happy. That's a good feed your Venus moment, is it not?
yes, and I've been doing the Epsom salt and
Good.
and I got I didn't get silk pillowcases, but I got some satin ones. So
Perfect. That's wonderful. I'm so glad. That's really, really terrific. And you see that your ascendant in Capricorn here is next to Pallas Athena. That is the glyph for Pallas Athena. And it's also next to the glyph for Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is our divine goddess warrior. And we have both Black Moon Lilith and Pallas Athena in our 1st house of identity. So that is a really bold and courageous personality. It's also what we're showing to the world is that you work hard. Do you feel like that resonates with your personality, Mimi?
yes, yes.
Fantastic. And your daily habits, you have a structure to your daily habits and the things that you do every day?
I need more structure, but
Saturn will be very happy if you do that. 100%. And with our sun in Aries, because you have a birthday coming up, your sun, you'll be having your solar return. Remember, whenever we have a planet returning to the place in our birth chart, it's called a return. We have a solar return when our sun comes back to the same degree. People call that a birthday, but it is a solar return. We also have a lunar return when our moon returns to the same degree, and your natal moon is at 22 degrees of Libra. Your Mercury return will be happening soon because Mercury is at 23 degrees of Pisces in your natal chart. Mercury is going to be moving backwards in the next few weeks into Pisces. And your Venus return will be also activated because your natal Venus is in Pisces at 0 degrees. Let's talk about your Aries house and your Pisces house. You currently have your sun, the natal sun and the transiting sun in your second and third house. Second house is our house of assets, investments, property, and all the things you value. It is also the house of our self-esteem. And that is where Venus is in retrograde, Mercury is in retrograde, we have our sun there, and we also have Chiron. So we have a lot of activity going on in our second and third house of values and the things that we find are important. And Venus and Mercury will be going retrograde, moving backwards into Pisces. Pisces is also straddling our second house, and that is where Mercury is. So Mercury is going to be moving backwards into Pisces, leaving Aries, moving backwards into Pisces, and then retracing his steps and moving forward again. So this could be a time where we're reviewing and analyzing the things we think about and how we think about things. Remember, when Mercury is Cazimi, the exact same degree as the sun, which is next week, and Mercury is Cazimi in the exact same degree as the sun, we're sort of rebooting those planetary energies. Mercury is the way we think, and Venus is the way we love ourselves, and then we love other people, the relationship we have with others, and how we cherish and take care of ourselves. Does that align? Does that feel like it resonates?
Yes. Yes.
This is a wonderful opportunity to reevaluate the things that are most important to you, because you're going to be having the eclipses in Pisces, and that's going to be activating your second house with Pisces and Aries. Remember, this next Aries is at 9 degrees of Aries. Do you have anything exact? You don't have anything exact in your natal chart, but it's going to be activating that second and third house. That's the things that you value. This is going to be a perfect time to review what's really important to Mimi. Because the things that were important 2 years ago might not be the things that are important 2 years from now. When we're having eclipses in a house, it's really amplifying the energy tremendously. This could be a time where you make investments or you change, you prioritize about the things that are most important to you. The other thing that's being activated is your 8th house in Virgo. Virgo rules your 8th house, and that can be other people's resources. It can be the investments you make, maybe a retirement account. 8th house is also taboo subjects, death, sex, and taxes. All the things that happen in every single person's life, we just don't talk about it. And so those topics of wealth and assets and money and things that we value, that will be a hot topic for you, whether you're talking to people about it or you're focused on it, because that's where the eclipses will be for the next 18 months. Does that resonate?
Absolutely, yes.
Good. I'm so glad. And may I just say, Mimi, happy birthday. I'm so excited
Thank you.
for having your solar return. And soon, yeah, I'm really excited. This is going to be terrific. I do want to point out that you're having your Chiron return. Chiron, your natal Chiron is at 20 degrees, and Chiron is currently at 21 degrees. Having our Chiron return can be a very, very challenging time. But when we heal these wounds, and these are third house wounds, third house is the area of siblings, of communication, of transportation, of technology. Perhaps there are wounds there that we can focus on and heal. And then once we heal them in ourselves, we can be a mentor and heal them in others. Does that resonate with you, Mimi? Is there a way
It
that you
did.
can mentor
It
and help
did.
others? Lovely. And thank you so much for volunteering, and thank you so much for coming today, Mimi. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I did have Dora reach out, and I have her chart ready. Dora, are you with me? And Catherine. Perhaps Catherine is here. Dora? Is Catherine with me? Mary and Sarah. Do I have Mary and Sarah here? Let's look in the chat, see if there's any other person. Hi, Amber. Hi, Erica. Erica, we were supposed to stop at 8:30, but I'm happy to do your chart if you want to send me a direct message. Amber, last time we had this astrology webinar and the theme was eclipses and retrogrades. We did read your chart. If you want me to go over it again, I can do that. But if there's someone who did not get their chart read.
Chris, did you get my chart? This is Lauren. I was at your sound bath on Tuesday. I emailed you yesterday.
I don't know that I did. Can you give me the information? I did check for it, but I'd love to load your chart into my software.
Sure. My birthday is 11/17/78.
11/17/1978. And the time?
4:07 p.m.
Beautiful. 4:07 p.m. And can you share the city that you were born in, Lauren?
Sure. I was born in Plainfield, New Jersey.
Terrific. I'm going to hit share screen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad that you're here. And we're just going to confirm for accuracy, Plainfield, 11/17/1978, 4:07 p.m. Is that accurate?
Yes, thanks.
And can you see my screen? You can see the software?
Yes.
Okay, if you go to settings and you click on planets and asteroids, we're going to include all the asteroids. If you've been here for the last 2 hours, you know how important asteroids can be in our chart. And Lauren has a chart where Taurus is on the ascendant. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. And right now, Venus is in retrograde in the sign of Aries. Aries rules the 12th house of the subconscious mind. They are the beliefs and the reactions that we have. 12th house is actually sleep also. And that is where Venus is in retrograde right now. Venus and Mercury are together in Aries with the sun, and they're going to be transiting backwards through your 12th house of the subconscious and spirituality and into your 11th house of Pisces. Pisces is going to be activated for the next 18 months because that is where the eclipses are going to be. Even though you don't have any planets or any asteroids in your 11th house, Lauren, it's still a house that will be strongly, strongly amplified because that's where the eclipses are. Let's review what the 11th house is. The 11th house is friends, community, friend groups, wishes, and dreams. And so there may be opportunities in your 11th house. There may be new friends coming into your orbit. There may be changes in that realm. And remember, you have Venus as your chart ruler. So it's vitally important to see where your Venus is. And it looks like in your chart, Venus is in Scorpio. Let's see where your chart ruler is. Chart ruler is in your 7th house of partnerships. This could be partnerships at work. This could be partnerships that are romantic. It's any one-on-one partnership. And that is where your natal Venus is. And so because your chart ruler is Venus, we're always going to pay attention to your Venus transits. And Venus is transiting your 12th house of subconscious and your 11th house of Pisces, friend groups, community networking, wishes, and dreams. We're always going to give extra credence to where Venus is transiting. Have you felt like this is a time to review? Yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot at all, but have you felt like this is a time to review the people that you're spending your time with or your dreams and ambitions for the future?
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. So this is not you. This is the planets. You are aligning with the planetary energy. I always like to point out, this is not you, it's the planets. The other thing that's being strongly, strongly impacted is your Virgo house. And your Virgo house is in your 5th house. The 5th house, like the 11th house, is also about friendships, but it's also about creativity, could be about children, but it's also about new ideas. And who's here in your 5th house, Lauren? It's the North Node. You have your North Node soul's destiny in your 5th house. That means you are having your nodal return. That means this next 18 months is going to be more significantly impactful for you, Lauren, than it is for most people. Remember, we have a 1 in 12 chance of having the North Node in Virgo in the 5th house during Virgo eclipses. We just had an eclipse in Virgo on March 14th that would have activated your North Node. And remember, Virgo is a grounded earth sign. It likes organization, practicality, details. It likes, when it's really extreme, it likes things to be perfect. And who's there amplifying that push to perfection? It's our friend Saturn. This glyph here, Lauren, you can see the number 5. That is our friendly planet Saturn. And Saturn squeezes us hard. And it makes us even more focused on having things a certain way. Being the most detailed, the most organized, the most practical, and having very, very high standards. This can be very challenging because we can be quite hard on ourselves. And remember, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury can be an anxious planet. And Mercury likes research, and to do gather a lot of information. So if you, for example, needed to rent a car or book a flight, you might research everything you could from many, many, many different sources before you made that purchase. And there may be delays because Saturn is there pushing that desire to obtain information, obtain data. Does that resonate with you, Lauren?
Very much so.
Yes. So because your node, your North Node, is there being amplified by Saturn, that squeeze, that push, the desire to have all the data and the information at your fingertips, and then to have very, very, very high standards would be very strong. I would strongly, strongly encourage you to back off of yourself a bit, because this energy of the North Node and Saturn and Virgo can make our inner critic really run the show. Do you have some negative self-talk, Lauren?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so when we have Saturn and the North Node in Virgo, we can be harder on ourselves than we need to be. And so it's a releasing and a letting go, and it's a loving ourselves more. Remember, your chart ruler is Venus. And so the best solution for Saturn and North Node in Virgo perfectionism is to feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus. We talked about that a little bit today. We had a few charts where we were talking about feeding our Venus. With a Taurus ascendant, feeding your Venus is going to be very, very, very important. Like wearing our favorite colors, having our home be a beautiful sanctuary of peace and bliss, playing our favorite music, eating delicious foods that light us up and fill us up. Remember, Venus rules the 5 senses, and that is your chart ruler. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Fantastic. And I would absolutely 100% send your inner critic on a long wonderful cruise to the Maldives. Just put your inner critic on a cruise ship and say, thank you so much for your words, but it's time for you to go. I've packed your bags. Please go on a long cruise to the Maldives. Send the inner critic away, send the inner critic away, send the inner critic away. That voice in your head is not you. That voice in your head is not Lauren. That is simply North Node and Saturn in Virgo. Those are not your thoughts. You don't have to be putting any pressure on yourself. And remember, your natal moon here is in Cancer. Do you see how your natal moon is in Cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Cancer feels things tremendously, and moon is home in Cancer. So you may feel like you put armor up sometimes when you're feeling a little wounded. I have my moon in Cancer, and that is how I feel. Cancer can be a very protective sign. It's a very intuitive sign. It can be a very emotional sign. And what we do is we feel things tremendously, and then we tend to put our armor up. Do you ever have moments where you feel like you need to put your armor up a little bit?
Yeah, and I'm pretty self-aware, but I really only made that realization about a year ago. So I notice it quite often.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that you were able to have that kind of self-clarity. That's very, very helpful.
Thank
That's
you.
one of the things that astrology does. You know, at the oracle at Delphi, there's the sign that says, know thyself. And astrology is one of the ways that we can really know ourselves better and then work on our strengths and the challenges that are in our natal chart. There's always a solution for them. Like when we have a lot of Mars energy, we can buy a rose bush and it eats up that Mars energy. When we have a lot of air in our chart, or we have strong Virgo placements, we can amp up our self-care and we can light our candles. And for you, it's very important to feed your Venus, feed your Venus, feed your Venus, and send that inner critic on a cruise to the Maldives, Morocco, maybe all of the Greek islands. Let's send the inner critic on a cruise to all of the Greek islands. How does that sound?
It sounds good.
I'm so glad. So your 11th house of wishes and dreams is going to be amplified by these eclipses. The things that you wished for 2 years ago may be dramatically different than the wishes and dreams you have 2 years from now, because the eclipses have started in Pisces and they will remain in Pisces for the next 18 months. And that is the direction we're going towards. We're going towards North Node in Pisces in the 11th house. That's a change in friend groups. That is a change in wishes and dreams and aspirations. That's a change in your community. You may be gravitating towards a more spiritual community because Pisces does rule spirituality. Pisces is spirit and spirits. Yes, it can be escapism and more time like watching Netflix or scrolling through social media, but it also can be a return to things we can't see, like religion or a higher power or doing meditation or mantra or sound baths or astrology, anything in the spiritual realm. Because the North Node is transiting that 11th house, you may be spending more time with more spiritually minded friends and community. Does that resonate, Lauren?
Yes, it does. I actually just committed to an 18-month volunteer community in Montclair, and I'm really excited about the people I'm going to meet there. So that feels like a perfect alignment to what you're saying.
Perfect alignment, because 18 months is how long we're going to be activating your 11th house of friend groups and community groups. I do also want to note, it's important, that your Chiron is in Taurus. Now, right now, Chiron, transiting Chiron is at 21 degrees of Aries, and it'll be in Aries for another year. But after that, okay, in 2026, you will be going through your Chiron return. Chiron return is a time where we evaluate the wounds that we must feel to heal. And of course, you have Chiron on your ascendant in the 12th house of subconscious. That is, we cannot prepare for it soon enough. And I would strongly, strongly encourage you to perhaps take a few mindful moments to meditate on any limiting beliefs that we could release.
Okay.
And write down any limiting beliefs that you think that could be lingering in your subconscious, and to do a little bit of a ritual and a deprogramming and a releasing, writing down some limiting beliefs and burning it up in a candle, right? Because it's never too early to work on our Chiron, and our Chiron return can be very challenging. But awareness and knowing, like knowledge is power, especially when it comes to that Chiron return. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that does. I like that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, and
Thank you. Thank you
for
very
watching.
much.
So last call for Dora, she did email me and said that she would volunteer. I don't see Dora there. Sue C. Did we read Sue? I don't know that we read Sue. Oh no, we read you, yes. And thank you, MJ. Mary, she can't get in for Dora. All right, I'm just going to read Dora's chart, and hopefully she can look at the recording, and we'll have to benchmark. This is 9:12, and we're reading for Dora at 9:12. I'm going to write down Dora, 9:12 p.m. I'm so sorry that I'm running late. I value your time. I believe your time is very, very important. So if you were read or you've learned enough about astrology tonight, I honor and respect your time, and I wish you well, and I wish you a good evening, and thank you for being here. I know that I'm going well over the time I said I would, and I honor your time. Thank you so much. So Dora, you're going to be getting your chart reading on the recording. Your ascendant is in Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by our watery and intuitive moon. Moon changes zodiac signs every 2.5 days. So it's possible that you feel like a completely different person every 2 or 3 days. You may dress differently. You may have different food cravings. You may feel differently. Cancer is an intuitive water sign, and moon rules our emotions and our feelings. My moon is in Cancer, and I definitely align with the energy of the moon. And so I'm always tracking, where is the moon? I have an Instagram called Wujibliss. Wuji is the center of yin yang, and Wuji is all about harmony and balance. And I find bliss by aligning with the energy of the moon. And so I'm always very cognizant to see where the moon is and how I can work with the moon's strengths. That might be something to consider, Dora, is to align each day by saying, where is the moon and how can I align with the energy of the moon to amplify that energy and really move with flow through your day. With a Cancer ascendant, we really need to see where our chart ruler is. Our chart ruler is the moon, and moon in your natal chart is in Pisces. It looks like you have a stellium in Pisces, Dora. You'll see moon is here at 1 degrees with our natal Mercury. This guy with the antenna is the glyph for Mercury. Then we have MC. MC represents career. Because our career is in Pisces, Pisces is an intuitive water sign that rules spirituality. That might be something that Dora is very good at. When we have MC in Pisces or MC near Neptune, which is one of the rulers of Pisces, we could be a very intuitive person that has many spiritual gifts. When I see an ascendant in Cancer and our MC in Pisces, I think she could work in the spirituality industry. Hopefully that resonates with you, Dora. And then, of course, we have Pallas Athena. Pallas looks like a triangle on a popsicle stick, and that is strategy. Perhaps we are very strategic with our words and our choices and our actions when it comes to our career. That the choices we make in our career are very well thought out. And of course, we're using our intuition tremendously because our ascendant is in Cancer, very intuitive water sign, and our MC career is in Pisces, aspecting Pallas Athena, the asteroid of strategy. This is especially important because this stellium of planets in Pisces, which includes our chart ruler moon, Mercury currently in retrograde and coming back into Pisces, MCR midheaven career, and Pallas Athena strategy are all going to be significantly amplified by the eclipses for the next 18 months. And so this is going to be a very auspicious time. We can have a lot of abundance with Pisces and with our career. And our MC, Mercury, Moon, and Pallas are all in our 9th house. 9th house is one of the houses of spirituality. It's also a house of teaching and learning. So if our chart ruler is in the 9th house, I can very confidently say that Dora is going to be a lifelong learner. My sun is in the 9th house, and it's in the 9th house in Gemini, and I also would consider myself a lifelong learner. And so with this stellium in Pisces, with career in the 9th house, I can assure you that our dear friend Dora is a lifelong learner. And I'm sure with Mercury there, the information coming in is being processed and then shared with others. Perhaps she has a podcast. Perhaps she shares her information and her wealth of knowledge in other ways. But we're going to be using Mercury, which is conjunct our ascendant at 1 degree of Pisces. I don't really go into degree theory very often. Degree theory is a astrology technique that was popularized by Serbian astrologers many years ago. I really, really, really believe strongly in degree theory. I thought the Serbian astrologers were very clever, and they definitely add a dynamic. If you see here, friends, Dora has her sun at 1 degree of Pisces. She has her moon at 1 degree of Pisces. She has her Mercury at 1 degree of Pisces. And with all those 1, you'll also see that she was born at 1:25 p.m. That's a lot of ones. And in degree theory, 1 represents the energy of Aries. Aries is a leader. Aries is bold and courageous and assertive. So Dora has a bold and courageous personality. And with her sun in Pisces at 1 degree and her moon at Pisces at 1 degree and Mercury in Pisces at 1 degree, she has the gift of gab, and she is both courageous and strong and bold, her words and her actions and her feelings. I wish you were here to confirm that this information is correct. I just want to add a note because this is such a wonderful example. I'm so glad that you agreed to volunteer today, Dora. You'll see that Sun is at 1 degree and 6 minutes of Pisces. Moon is at 1 degree and 25 minutes of Pisces. And Mercury is at 1 degree and 30 minutes of Pisces. So even though they are all at 1 degree, they're at different parts of 1 degree. And it goes up to 59 minutes of Pisces. So you can have a 0 degree, 1 degree, 0 minutes of Pisces, or a 1 degree, 59 minutes of Pisces. And that explains further information of where in the 1 degree you are in Pisces. So Sun in 1 degree, Moon in 1 degree, Mercury in 1 degree. We must acknowledge that the energy of these 3 planets at 1 degree in Pisces is a bold and assertive energy. Aries is a wonderful leader. And today, our sun is at 0 degrees of Aries. It has just begun our new zodiac astrological new year. Happy New Year, everyone. And with this sun in Aries, we have Venus in retrograde and Mercury in retrograde. And that will be amplifying the 10th house. Now, the 10th house is, let's see who's in your 10th house. Scrolling down. Venus and Mars are in the 10th house in Pisces. So Black Moon Lilith, I think Black Moon Lilith is there too. So Venus is at 14 degrees of Aries. Mars is at 12 degrees of Aries. And Lilith is at 18 degrees of Aries. That is within an 8-degree cusp. And so those are the natal planets that are being activated by the sun transiting Aries, by Chiron in Aries, and also Venus and Mercury in retrograde in Aries. And they'll also, Venus and Mercury in retrograde in Aries, we'll be going over Pallas Athena. Remember, friends, Pallas Athena is our asteroid of strategy. And so we're going to be reassessing the strategy that we have both with self-love, right? Venus is self-love, the way we think and the way we communicate. Mercury in retrograde is going to be transiting right over and activating towards Pallas Athena. But Pisces in the 9th house of education and spirituality, foreign travel, and 10th house of career in Aries are not the only houses that are being activated right now. We also have Virgo in the 3rd house being activated by the eclipses. And I see that's our inner world. That's the inside that we don't always share with everyone. That's our inner world. And that is also going to be activated by the next 18 months of eclipses. Even though we don't have a lot of planets in Virgo, it's still going to be a time of review. Who am I? What is important to me? How do I talk to myself, right? 3rd house is communication and the words we say to ourselves. Whenever anybody has a challenge about the way they talk to themselves, I always like to encourage you to take a photograph of yourself at the age of 3, 4, 7, 8, 10, 12, and keep that someplace close. I have a picture of myself right here on my desk, and I like to keep it there. And this is a picture of me when I was a little girl. And if I wouldn't talk to her that way, then I don't talk to her that way. I hope that resonates. So it's very, very important to always speak to ourselves kindly. And if that is a challenge because the inner critic comes in or we have a lot of air in our chart, I strongly encourage you to have a childhood photo of yourself handy, either on your workstation or someplace you visit often. I hope that resonates, and I hope that the information about Virgo in the 3rd house, Pisces in the 9th house, and Aries, your 10th house of career being activated, resonated with you. Do I have any other volunteers? I know we're running very, very late. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm so grateful to all of you for volunteering, for being here tonight. And I truly appreciate your time and energy. And it was such a pleasure sharing the information about the eclipses and the retrogrades with you. Thank you, volunteers. Until next time, have a good night. Bye.